So what do you want to hear? So is it more technical? Do you want to understand a little bit about the ecosystem? What exactly do you want to hear in the voice world?
I like to hear a little bit of all of it because I always was curious. Well, I became curious with it probably about 3 months ago in terms of wanting to know how it worked and how even to implement it.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm kind of, interested in the whole thing across the board.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Same sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I started using Alexa and Google devices.
Mm-hmm.
I think I bought my first one about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a librarian, I work for a library, and
Okay.
I started talking to a company that builds Alexa apps
Mm-hmm.
for libraries,
Mm-hmm.
where you can actually access your library account, read books through it, and
Okay.
search the catalog, and do all kinds of cool stuff.
Okay.
And before that, I had started dabbling with building Alexa skills.
Yeah.
So, but I can't build what they were going to build because it's super cool.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to
Sure.
know more about it.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah, similar. We actually rolled out Alexa skill for our organization.
Oh, okay.
I guess beginning of 2019. We used a third-party
Mm-hmm.
company to assist with that. And,
Okay.
So in IT, we didn't do a lot. We had to do something in terms of getting them the data,
Yeah.
certain formats and things like that.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit about it, but
Sure.
just interested in learning more. So
Okay.
yeah.
Wonderful. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. So, welcome.
Thank you.
So we're just going around and trying to understand what brings you here at the talk. So, what?
A lot of people may not be able to use the keyboard. They maybe prefer to use their voice.
Okay.
So they want to find out stuff on the internet.
Yeah. Okay. Accessibility largely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Awesome. So I think I get the gist. Every time I start in, here's a quick. If you want to connect with me later on, have literally the same ID everywhere. Twitter, G Mishra, my LinkedIn, just go to gmishra.com, you'll be redirected. And the sites you'll find at bit.ly/G Mishra, right? Okay, so, I'm one of the organizers of Decouple Days in New York, right? That's a very cool event. It's actually talks, we're trying to do more non-Drupal stuff as well, a lot of non-Drupal. So if you're interested in React, headless, voice, IoT, right, a lot of non-Drupal use cases and very good ones. We had companies like Estee Lauder, Johnson & Johnson, and many companies coming in presenting in the last 3 years. So yeah, we are doing in July. Come in. Registrations are actually open now. It's an old slide. Sorry. Your registrations are already open now. We are doing I think it's a discounted pricing till March 12th, and then it bumps up to $100. It's not a big bump, but yeah. And then we're looking at sponsors. Decouple Days, so join in. So this was the pieces that actually, I'm sure you would have heard it. This is something that actually goes back to one of the conferences. The guy who used to run the Alibaba search, right? He made that claim. This is 2014, right? We've literally 5-6 years now. But I always start this slide because this is very, very relevant. Unfortunately, we don't have a data. So after 2017, Google stopped rolling out the data, to ensure that that the industry doesn't go bastardized the way SEO industry bastardized, right, in terms of optimization and things like that. So we don't have any data about 2017, but it's not that far, right? There is a lot of voice, and when I'm saying voice, I think now the Google is treating all the NLU centric, and we'll come to that, right? What that means, that all NLU centric searches, right, as literally voice searches, but more and more natural language searches are essentially big now on Google, right? And we'll come to that, what that means. Here's a very famous curve. This is the Gartner curve. This is a little old now, but this is something that Gartner updates every year, right? And what happens is that they track all the technologies that are upcoming, right? So you'll see blockchain up there, right? It's now it peaked up. It's now going down, right? You'll see natural language question answering, picked up, actually becoming stable. But you'll see the virtual personal assistants, the conversation user interface is still going to the peak. So what we are seeing now is actually where we are going to the peak. We haven't peaked yet, right? As a technology, as a new kid on the block. So there's a lot that's going to happen. And that the bots are getting cheaper. So these are more, but you already know more about the ecosystem, so I'll just quickly skip it. So bots are getting cheaper. There is a lot of use of voice search happening daily. 55% of the teens in US and 41% of the adults actually use voice on a daily basis, right? In one of the other places. That's another. And another piece is that this is a good data. I was trying to find the right set of data that can actually show the impact. But this is something that last time Google revealed the data. This was 2017, and they said that overall, their overall searches, 59% of the searches were happening on mobile in 2017. Out of that, the top two places that are there happening is mobile browser and the voice search, right? So that's a big chunk of that. They did not reveal the data that what is that percentage of it, but that's the top two places where their mobile searches are happening. And now it's much more, right? So they're now went mobile first in terms of the indexing and everything. So this is now much more relevant, what it was 2017, 3 years back. But let's face it, bots are frustrating. We all know it. We have all used it at our homes. And there are other worries where people are saying that it's going to take their jobs, and we know for sure that it's tracking a lot of conversation that's happening. There's been NSA hearing all what we are saying. There's been talks about recordings happening, and things like that. So, but we are not. I'll not touch that today. Right? We'll talk about the real how we use the technology. Okay, coming to the meat now. So why voice content strategy is important, right? Before we jump in. So the challenge is that a lot of organizations globally, and I work with a lot of Fortune 500s. I've worked with Estée Lauder, Diversey, McKinsey, on their voice work, right, on their voice strategy work. And the challenge is that everybody started looking at 2-3 years back from a point of view that said, hey, this is a new kid. We're going to create our new content strategy. There was card flow designs. I don't know if you ever worked on the card flow designs where you had literally card-centric, that the user is going to answer this and that and things like that. It didn't work, right? So you cannot have a different content strategy for voice and a different content strategy for web and a different content strategy for mobile. So you have to look at that holistically, so that when you're building content, which is a very expensive job, right? Building content, maintaining the content is a very expensive piece. You don't do that over and over again. And you have to ensure that the content should be conversation legible, right? I will come to that, what that means. That means that when the user is listening to that content, right, he can really understand what that content means, okay? And not only reading the content, right? And this is, and if you actually look into it, most of the content that we are building are actually not conversation legible, and we'll come to some examples. Quickly, I'm sure you would understand this, but I'll still go it. How the bots really work. So this is an utterance, usually what we talk to Alexa and Google Home. So it's actually broken down into 6 pieces actually. Alexa is a wake word. Tell is essentially a launch, right, of an app, like we do a launch on a phone or something like that. Plan metric is an invocation name, right? We also, it's actually, all this invocation name is actually pointed to an intent. This is, and intent, think of intent as like a function in our old programming world, right? So there's a function, and that function can be called by multiple invocation names, right? But here we are going to use plan metric. And then this entire thing is called an utterance, right? Utterance in the programming world. So we have a wake word, Alexa tell, plan my trip, I need a vacation, I would like to take a trip next Friday, right? Now this is essentially a value to the function, right? So this essentially fires this intent, this entire piece, and this is a slot value that goes into this as a variable, if you will, right, in the old programming world, and tells them exactly what date these functions need to be, fired upon, right? So, yeah, making sense? We just wanted to quickly, show how this works. Sorry. And so, we're talking about the conversation legibility, right? Now, what that means? So, if you actually look at the web content, right, where you can read it very quickly, there are 200 words of an article. you'll very quickly skim to it, you'll come to a place that actually makes sense to you, right? And in 2-3 minutes, you can actually make sense of that article, right? But if the same article of 200 words is being, served on a voice, on a Google Home or Alexa, it would not make sense, right? And that's what means conversational legibility. So if you look at, what we call is a high verbosity tolerance, right, in terms of the content. So is the content high verbosity or low verbosity? Low verbosity means that, you can actually understand the context very well. And that is a big part of the, conversational content. Another piece is that it's very unidirectional, right? You can't really go back and say that I heard something, 3 minutes back. Now whatever I'm hearing, I might want to understand that or hear that again, what I heard like 3 minutes back. You cannot do that. So it's one direction, right? You can't really go back. That means context becoming really, really important. So all the content that we are building, right? And here are a couple of examples. This is actually from a Georgia Gov case study which Acquia did, right? So they looked at the content and they said, on there, so they had this FAQ on a page called, employment benefits. So their FAQ question said, how long can I receive benefits? Now, if you're on a web world, it's very obvious, right? You're on an employment benefit page. If a question is asking, how can I receive benefits? It's got to be an employment benefit. But when you solve the same question to Alexa, it doesn't make sense, right? So you have to be completely contextual in your content, right? So you can't miss saying employment benefits because the user doesn't know that it's on the employment benefits page, right? Second thing is hyperlinks, right? Hyperlinks, now, we do this all the time. Learn more, click here to learn more. Learn more about things, right? Now when you solve the same pieces to Alexa, it doesn't make sense. Learn more where, right? But for a user point of view, on a web point of view, you can see that there is a hyperlink and you can click and go to a place, right? So what they did is they changed this particular line to saying you can receive payments through either debit or direct deposit, which was the main thing. And instead of saying learn more about payments, hyperlink receive payments. So when the same content being served on the web, a person can click on receive payments and go to a particular hyperlink. But the same content when it's served on Alexa, user is just hearing the main content, right? He doesn't need to click on that hyperlink, right? Usual basic stuff, but we miss it, right?
The hyperlink thing is similar to voice readers. If you were using a screen reader
yeah.
page, you would want to do the same thing and you
yeah.
not make one more.
Yeah. So these are some blind spots that we should look at from a content strategy point, very low hanging fruits, right? From a content strategy point of view. And I think a good this is a study that actually came in and they said that if you in the voice world, if you're not capturing when you're building skills, when you're building action, if you're not capturing the intent, the attention of the user in 7 seconds, the first 7 seconds you actually lose, the attention of that user. So ensure that the main context that you want to tell to the user is there first in the first 7 seconds. And now I'm going to jump to a little more contextual and say that yes, so this is all great, but how do we go about it, right? Now let's say you want to go into the voice world, and I'll have some case studies as well later on. But where do you start, right? Where do you actually start? And if we are from a Drupal point of view, when we are building all these Drupal sites, right? What we should aspire and ensure that we want to be at a place something called position 0 in the Google world, right? Position 0 is the featured snippets where you don't need to really click in and go to a particular page, but you can understand the information right there, right? Now Google essentially treats voice similar to what featured snippet. They treat featured snippets, right? And if you're building your content strategy in a way that you have listicles in the content, you have H1s, main H1s, right? In this listicles, you have title with the URL with the keywords. That's a very good basic things that you should ensure when you're building a content strategy or any Drupal node or content, right? And and there's a good example, right, on how that works. I was talking about NLU search, which is a big part of search, which is the 50% pieces, and how Google treats it. So usually when you used to optimize your content, it was very much around a particular keyword, right? Let's say YouTube SEO. So right now when you do a YouTube SEO, you'll get a bunch of articles and things like that and videos there. But when I change the same search to a natural language search, which says how do I rank my YouTube videos, right? Now you see that Google immediately took the clip, actually truncated it and said, these are the 83 seconds that you should hear, right, on that particular natural language search. Now this is where Google is going more and more, the natural language search, right? So when you're building your content, strategy, ensure that you're optimizing for long tail keywords, for natural language search, right, from a content point of view, because that's where main meat is coming in. Making sense? Yeah?
Okay, so I'm looking at the question, how do I rank my YouTube videos?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, reading that, it says, how do I rank it? And it could be, how do I rank it at 100 or 1,000 or 1?
Yeah.
So why does that question bring up rank number 1 on YouTube? Why does it bring that thing up? Because it's a pretty vague question.
Yeah.
So how does it know to be specific?
Sure. So I mean, you can. So this particular question, because the way that, and largely because people are searching for it. People are searching for, how do I rank my YouTube videos, and that's why people look at this data all the time, go into, Google Trends and SEM keywords, look at the keywords and create content around it so that they can essentially rank into it.
So
right?
it's human terminology then.
Sorry.
It's human terminology. So the humans say,
yeah.
How do I rank it?
Yeah.
And the
right.
computer then learns from that.
Correct. Yeah. And these are the basic things, right? So we have to look at, this is something that we call a long tail keyword, and you can Google it once you go back. This is what people optimize it for, right? For we have quickly. Where is that? Okay, this is one of the clients that we are doing, Centrica. I'm sure you must know, big energy company here in US. And we did a similar study for them, and we said, what are the people that are coming to their site, their Drupal sites, Centrica.com, sorry, and are actually doing natural language search. What is an advantage to alternate energy technology? What is the advantage of solar energy? Right? These are different visits, 350 visits a month, 300 visits a month, which is not an advantage of using the pyramid of energy. What is the advantage of geothermal energy? Now these are the different searches that people were doing and actually coming on their website. Right? Now this is a low-hanging fruit from a content strategy point of view that they should look, that we suggested them to look at when they are essentially creating voice content strategy. Right? So you should look at more long tail keywords, natural language, right? 4, 5 words, 6 words, 7 words, and say that what is that relevant question for my brand or the clients, the brand client, right? That people would be asking, right? So if you are going to have a conversation with one of your friends about the brand that you are working with, what is that question that you're going to ask? Start from that, right? And you'll realize, and you'll then go back and look at how many traffic, what is the traffic that people are actually asking that questions in, right? Use question phrases like optimize content for whom, where, how, and this is very important because who, and then I have a good example here as well. Let me go into this. So this is something that I did yesterday. I said, when is Drupalcamp? And you can try that on your phone as well. It will tell you it's between May 18 to May 23rd. And then I asked, when is Florida Drupalcamp? And it said February 21st, right? Now why this was, we were getting the data. Because Florida Drupalcamp actually did that. On their about page, right there on the top, with an H1, they said, when is Florida Drupalcamp? Right? And they had this year Florida Drupalcamp 2020 will be held Friday, February 21st to Sunday, February 23rd in Orlando. And this is exactly what Google picked up, in the search result, right? So when you're optimizing your content, some very basic stuff, right? Ensure that you use, how, when, who, where, right? The usual way where two people talk, right? How do I do this? How do I do that? Right? Things like that, right? And ensure that you're using schemas big time, right? It's a big change, right? There is, if from a schema point of view, today in this world you can actually find schema for every use case that you can imagine, right? People actually claim that the industry still actually claim that 98% of any content scenario can be covered with a schema. But most of the cases, schemas are something that are actually, not there in the urgent point of view. And I'll come to say that why it's so important. But then a couple of more things, low-hanging fruits, optimize local pages, right? Have location data. It's very nearby centric, right? When you're doing this searches, this voice searches, this is very location centric. This is very real time happening, right? So ensure that you have some location reference onto your content. Good if you can have location. If you're looking at a particular geography area, let's say you want to literally open your content for people living in 34th Street or the Times Square. Right? You want focus people who are coming in the Times Square. Ensure that you have somewhere that location data tagged in your content at some places, because Google is using their data. Second important piece is, so CTA, right? Call to actions, right? We create call to actions all the time, right? We have sign up forms, PDF downloads, and blah blah blah, right? But in the voice world, the only call to action is actually a phone number, right? I'm sure you would have seen that video where Google calls a salon and book an appointment, right? Now, when you are going into that direction, ensure that you have a working phone number tagged somewhere in the content, right? And structured in a way. Look at a schema.org again. It's structured in a way that it's for Google. It's easy to pick up that phone number and serve it when anybody is looking at that particular brand and want to interact with the particular brand, right? So don't miss the phone number piece, because that's the ultimate CTA that in the voice world. Okay, now why schema is important, and it's actually hyperlinked, so when you go to the slides you can actually click onto it and go to the relevant article. But here's an example, right? This is something that we tested out. So ask Booking.com how much a hotel costs in Amsterdam, right? But it can be pretty much this as well. How much a hotel costs in Amsterdam, right? It's a very relevant keyword for Booking.com, ClearTrade, any big company, right? Expedia, right? If they rank on this, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of traffic and conversions for them, right? But for this case, I just looked at because I wanted to show an example. I said ask Booking.com how much a hotel costs in Amsterdam, and it says on average it costs $167 per night to book a 3-star hotel in Amsterdam for tonight. You'll pay around this, right? Where exactly is picking the data from? It's picking the data from a schema called FAQ page. The question is, right? Oh, I picked up the wrong one. Sorry. My bad. Oh my god. I want to do this track. Okay, so here I picked up the wrong schema, but let me go to another schema. Yeah. So these are the different schemas that you have. Schema.org, right? Okay, let me pull it out. Hang on. Just give me a second. Tick. Oh Jesus.
So that link is in the PowerPoint slide.
Yeah. Yeah, I picked up the wrong one. Anyway, sorry. I'll update the slides, with the right one. But essentially, this data is coming from a particular schema that they have defined, right? So when you are looking at the schema, and one of the articles that Google, so this is something that Google did like 3 months back, and what Google did is that if you are using schema.org, right, and if you have all the relevant content defined in your schema very well, then your schema is essentially going to be created as an action automatically on Google Action Store on an assistant, right? So they're actually not waiting on people to create an actions. They're picking the schemas and they're creating actions automatically. Right? They just launched this 3 months back. Yeah.
Okay, so I understand all that, and within the Google sphere, does meta tags do that?
No. So meta tags is essentially just the meta information, right? And schemas are essentially on a specific point. Okay. So this is something called a speakable schema, which is still in beta, but Google launched this specifically for the voice world, right? And saying that if you want a certain portion of the content, right, to be served onto the voice, apply the speakable schema there, right? So why? And because when you're doing meta tags, you're doing this meta tags for that entire page, right? You have a meta title that serves that entire page. You have a meta tag which is essentially telling what keywords it should rank on that entire page. Okay. But the problem is that you can't serve that content onto the Google. Google needs a structured content, right? To be able to understand what exactly that content means. we can understand that content, right? Google is now very good, right? The best in the world to understand that content, but it's still a machine in that, right? So how much the more structure you give the content, the more value, right? So Google would be able to give it to the users. That's what they want to do. They don't want anybody to go outside Google, right? Right? And they want people to come in and get all the information right there on the Google itself, right? So they want to go after all the structured content, which is schema essentially, right? So if you're creating a content, ensure that you don't miss the schemas. You go in, you work on, and ensure that one or the other schema is applied to your content. Yeah. A couple of more ones I pulled in. One is Drupal 7 end of life, right? It picks up the data November 2021. Okay. One interesting one I did last night as well. Doing all that last night after I was drunk, went back home because last night. So, what is average tuition fees at Florida Technical College, right? Right, and the answer was $29,838 US, right? You have all this, So, and the reason I was trying to show this because we feel that do we really need it? Do we really need to optimize the content? The problem is that it's the most, if you're talking to, and usually, right, when you become a power user and when you start using it, when people start to use more and more, it will become a norm, which is a not a today. If you actually look at segments which are not exposed to the web world like we do, right, they're actually a power user of a voice world very well, which is kids and the old people, right? They both are very power users. They use this big time. We, who are very exposed to the web world, are essentially saying, is it really going to help? Is it really going to be a big thing and things like that? So, but if you actually go in and ask things, you have every damn answer right there now, right? Most of the times, anything that me and my wife wants to know, a review about a movie, a review about a place, do you want to, when we are browsing Netflix, we all the time look at another, what's the ratings of this particular, right? We do that all the time, right? And they have every answer out there. So, yeah, I already went on to these, again, few things. I said, write a topic-specific page, right? Few of the things, some actionable things to go back, take back. Write topic-specific pages, right? So, what is, I'm sure, do you know domain authority and page authority, right? So, domain authority is the authority of a particular entire domain, and there was page authority, the authority of that page. Now, in the SEO world, few years back, Google started giving low value to the page authority, right? Giving low value to the domain authority and started ranking more page authority pages, right? Because Google said, okay, there might be a very authoritative domain, but they might not have all the content which is the base content in the world. So for the interest of the users, they started giving page authority as well. Right. And all the SEO people started working on page authority of the relevant pages for their businesses. But in the voice world, interestingly, right now as we speak, they're actually giving a lot of importance to domain authority and not so much to the page authority, right? So ensure that you are not creating too many content, but create less content, but create topic-specific pages, right? Which is serving one specific topic answer, right, for the user. And create content that answers a specific question that you want to be answered about your brand, right? What exactly the people want to know about Florida Technical College? What are the tuition fees, right? Ensure that you have a page around it, right? And think that. So yeah.
So we saw the schema you put into the web page. How can you automate that?
So there's a module. So when you're creating a content type, right? I should put that in the slides. That actually came out multiple times. Question came multiple times. So I should put that in my slides as well. So when you're creating a content type, right? When you're creating different fields, right? Name, type, images and things like that. Ensure that all your fields are essentially schema as well, right? Some very simple examples, right? When you're creating an event, right? And an event fields, if you're putting in let's say a field which says dates, right? And you can put in a dates like 20 February to 23rd February, right? But it's not completely clear that it's not a separate two different dates, start date and end date, right? Now schema requires a structured content. So look at the schema, and when you're building a content type, ensure that your content types are, in the same format in user schemas are. Okay, so that when the people are entering the content, they are entering the content in a format the schema requires, right? And then just use the Drupal. There is a Drupal.org module called schema. Just use that, apply it to all the content type, right? And ensure that there is a mapping from a schema point of view.
If it works the way I think it works, you can automatically attach content types to specific schemas.
Yeah.
It puts the metadata in the content for you.
Yeah.
Drupal does it.
Yeah.
I've used the backdrop module that does the same thing, not the Drupal module, but
So there's a Drupal module
yes.
called
schema.
It's either schema or structured data or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And at least the backdrop one, there are only a few schemas included in the module, but you can go to schema.org and find the other schemas and add them to it, to the module for your appropriate content. And then it's just a drop down menu. You select a schema associated with the content. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then when you're looking at questions, right, ensure that you're answering in the depth, right? You're literally going on that particular question in the depth. You're not going very broad in that particular page content and covering multiple things. Try to answer one question and answer that in the depth, so that it becomes authoritative for the Google to pick it up, right? And think of the semantic keywords, right? Synonyms into it, right? When you're writing content, so you're not repeating the same keywords, but using synonyms in your content. And we already talked about how, what, where, using headings like H1, H2, H3, H4, right? And ensure that your context is right there in the main top, right? Like the Florida Camp. When is Florida Camp? This year it's going to happen on Friday, February 24th, right? Right there at the top, right? So ensure that your main answer is right there at the top in the content, right? Some couple of case studies. This is lawyer, my competition to the client that I work for. That's one of the reasons that we got good work. Oops. Not. Anyway, yeah, this should be fine.
My name is Carlos Valarosa. I'm Director of SEO for the Luxury Products Division of L'Oreal USA. Voice search has had a big impact on our overall content strategy. So we're taking a close look at striking distance, understanding that we really need to be in the top positions, and there really is only one result when it comes to voice search. So we find, especially in our industry, in the beauty industry, that people are hungry for how-to videos. People want to know what is the best product. How do you create this certain look? And so we are working very closely with our content strategy teams to make sure that we are taking a more voice search approach to content creation. And so we're using the striking distance report to take action on some of the pages that we feel we have the opportunity to really push up in the SERP. And so that's really become the cornerstone of our content strategy. And we find that a lot of our customers, especially in the luxury products division, with the price point that our products are, they are investing in these new devices for the home that sort of make their lives easier. And so we really are trying to tailor our content to answer questions and understand pluralization and all these different kinds of things. And we're implementing the recommendations that we see within Bright Edge, and we really are seeing some growth. We really are seeing some fluctuation in positioning, and a lot of our pages are moving up to the top 3 positions. And so we're looking at the striking distance to say, like, if we're not in the top 3, it's going to be very hard for us to compete. Bright Edge, the way it gives us that data, the way it shows us how we're positioned, for me is really like the cornerstone of the whole strategy around natural language search. We understand that. Yeah,
so you get the gist, right? There's a lot of value from a corporate point of view that people actually see, right? And the brands are investing. This is another one, interesting one. This is something called Amazon Connect. Amazon uses for their call centers. You would be talking to Wells Fargo or American Airlines or multiple ones, right? Anyone there where the contact center is, which is a big product now in the enterprises, right? They are using this on the back end for a lot of voice searches.
When something unforeseen happens, your customers want to get the help they need as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Oh, not today.
Thankfully, Sally's roadside assistance provider uses Amazon Connect. Let us show you how you can use Amazon Connect with AI-powered automated customer service and its ecosystem of integrated applications and services to solve real-world problems more quickly, more efficiently, and with greater customer satisfaction.
So this is pulling the data from Salesforce on the basis of the phone number that the lady is actually calling from, right? So putting all the customer information, what exactly she does and things like that.
Hello, this is Joanna from Golden State Auto. Is this Sally Gale?
Yes, it is.
Great. Good morning, Sally. Now let's see.
Now looking at the Salesforce data and saying that what car she drives, right? What's the model that she has and things like that.
Are you driving the silver 2016 Volta Electrium 3 that you normally drive?
Yes, that's my car.
I see you are at Washington Boulevard near the intersection with Bell Street. Do you need roadside assistance?
Again, look at the location data,
then let's get you some
right?
help
And
as quickly as
put in the
possible.
location data.
First, I need to ask, are you in any danger at your present location?
No, I don't think so.
Great.
And then she essentially did a location search and found centers nearby, right? What are the places that she can actually ask for help, and found an availability.
Okay, I found help. Joe's Garage has someone available to meet you at your current location. I am contacting them now and letting them know where you are. Would it be okay to give them your mobile phone number?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. I have sent the request and have received confirmation that they will be there shortly. I have texted you the contact information of Joe's Garage and the driver, Mark Smith. Please stay in your car while you wait for assistance. I will stay with you until they arrive.
Thank you. Oh, wow. He's here already.
Science fiction film.
Yeah. They did a great job in building that demo, but it's pretty much totally possible, right? There's nothing, out of the something impossible that they're doing. They're just connecting to the Salesforce data, pulling up the records, the phone records, or from the phone point of view, saying that what's the name of the person, what is the car that they drive, where exactly they are from a location point of view, just looking at the G2's location. Then they are just pulling the data and saying that what are the different places which are there which can serve her, right? And sending and looking at the availability, right? On that, because they have everything, the scheduler is available on the cloud, so they can pull and say that have people available or not available. Right? Pull up the data and essentially contact that particular places, right? So nothing out of the process, nothing science fiction, but they have packaged it very well, and they have the integrations available.
And the company that did that is Shrija.
Oh no, that's my company. That's our company. This is AWS. This is amazing. So the technology is AWS technology, right? We do implement it for our clients using AWS, right? Not this one, but we use this technology all the time. Yeah, this is one of the nice. I was actually looking at this video, finally found it, but this is very, very worthwhile video to look at.
Google has very good general speech recognition, but if you do not sound as most of people, it will not understand you.
No one's ever collected large data sets of people whose speech is hard for others to understand.
People who have multiple sclerosis, for years, who have stroke, who stutter.
They're not used in training the speech recognition models. The game is to record things and then have it recognize things that you say that aren't in the training set. Dimitri recorded 15,000 phrases. It wasn't obvious that this was going to work. He just sat there and he kept recording.
We need to make all voice interactive devices be able to understand any person who speaks to them.
You can see that it's possible to make a speech recognizer to work for Dimitri, it should be possible to make it work for many people, even people who can't speak because they've lost the ability to speak. The work that Shenxing has done on, voice utterances, from sounds alone, you can communicate. But there might be other ways of communicating.
Most people with ALS end up using an on-screen keyboard and having to type each individual letter with their eyes. For me, communicating is slow.
Steve might crack a joke, and it's related to something that happened, a few minutes ago. The idea is to create a tool so that Steve can train machine learning models himself to understand his facial expressions. To be able to laugh, to be able to cheer, to be able to boo. Things that seem maybe superfluous, but actually are so core to being human.
I still think this is only the tip of the iceberg. We're not even scratching the surface yet of what is possible if we can get speech recognizers to work with small numbers of people who learn lessons which we can then combine to build something that really works for everyone.
To understand and be understood, the effort of doing your work.
So,
by the end of that video, I could understand that guy without reading the subtext.
yeah. And the reason that I love this video because so in few of the studies that in few of the studies that happened, Google has literally now a 98% accuracy in terms of understanding the speech, right, and understanding that in what we are saying, right. Also, all the frustration that we have seen in the past, it's actually being solved very quickly. Google is doing a lot of work in that area, and from an accessibility point of view, we are actually covering a huge spectrum, right? People with disabled speech, people with different challenges. So all the things, Google, it doesn't understand what I'm saying, right? And that frustration, and with Google Duplex coming in, which actually has a parallel thread where you can understand the context of the original question and then understand the next question on the basis of that context, right? We are in the next place, right? We literally, that problem is not going to be there. And once it becomes, which is going to happen very soon, when it becomes at a place where you're able to ask the questions and get the answers right because it understands it very well, the voice content strategy becomes so much important, right? The right content strategy. Another couple of videos that I like. This is something called Google's Live Relay, right? People with who are can't speak, right? Answering phones is a problem, right? How do Google is tackling that?
Hi, this is Nicole's assistive chat. She'll see what you say, and her responses will be read back to you, starting now.
Hi Nicole, it's Jamie. How are you?
Hey Jamie. I'm good, and you?
Great. Are we still on for your 1 p.m. haircut tomorrow?
Sorry, can you do 3 p.m.?
Yes, I can do 3 p.m. We have a lot to catch up on. I want to hear all about your trip.
Perfect, thumbs up.
Great, see you tomorrow. Bye.
Yeah, this is literally a live call, right? A huge assistive impact, right? From an accessibility point of view. And this is, the beauty of it is that you see the predictive text coming in, right? And if you're using Gmail, if you're using, Google, chats, the messages, the predictive text is becoming really, really good, right? You end up not typing a lot of times now, right? So
at the end of that, it said read. It had ebook. Was that the ebook to that program?
Sorry, come again?
They had read ebook on the bottom. Was that?
Oh, that was probably an ad. Oh, yeah. Here's another one on the Google Maps.
One of my hobbies is to try new things and getting outside of my comfort zone. I like trying to push my limits and broaden my horizons about what I can do. I'm legally blind. There's probably some fear associated with not knowing my surroundings. When I decide not to take the journey, I might feel somewhat left alone or excluded.
Hearing her perspectives the first time is really eye-opening to me because I never lived in that situation. Hearing Wakana's story that make me realize that's a problem and we need to solve it.
Detailed voice guidance gives people audio information when they're walking to their destination using Google Maps.
六本木通りを西に進みます。次に曲がるまで約80メートルです。
It's sort of like announcements I hear on trains and buses.
ルート上で前方に桜田通りがあります。大きな道路です。通行する際は注意してください。
It fills some of the gaps that I would otherwise experience with not knowing the surroundings, and also especially focusing on segments that I might find particularly challenging, such as larger intersections.
Yeah. So we are running out of time, so I just want to make sure that I've done the last one. I'm going to skip. This is about the accessibility around, people with, who are like, in old age, who can't really walk, and how they're using the Nest and Google Home for a lot of things in their home. It's a beautiful story. This is one is, interpreter mode. So you can literally say, Google, be my interpreter, and, and talk to anybody, right there in the live, right, and it will interpret in the real time. And so another nice video on accessibility. But this is my favorite one. And this is the reason that I pulled it up, because this is a huge impact, right? In India, we have a huge number of people which cannot read, cannot write, right? It's almost like 400 to 500 million people, right? Now, what we are going in is actually making them, bring into the web world, right? And so it's actually about the lens, Google Lens, not voice, but it's very relevant, at least, where why it's, I'm passionate about this area. Oh, come on, okay.
मेरा नाम उर्मिला है, ईपी की रहने वाली हूँ। मेरे 3 बच्चे हैंगे, स्कूल में जाते हैं और बच्चों को होमवर्क नहीं करा सकते हैं, लेकिन चलो मेरे बच्चे होशियार हो गए, थोड़ा सा नेक पढ़ लिख जाते, कोई भी पढ़ा लिखा को काम वो नहीं कर सकते हैं। बार बार कहने पड़ती है उन लोगों के कि मतलब थोड़ा सा बता दिए। मुझे पहली बार जैसे बच्चों को मतलब बार बार कविता नहीं आ रही थी, मतलब फोटो लाई।
1 कप सोयाबीन बहियों में 4 कप पानी डालकर उबालें।
तो इसने पढ़ के सुनाया है, और जैसे मतलब रिपोर्ट कार्ड आओ बच्चों को
अंग्रेजी, हिंदी, गणित, विज्ञान।
तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा कि मतलब वो चीज है, मतलब जा चीज है, आप तुम्हें खुद के लिए बहुत कुछ काम कर लेंगे।
चालू खाता, बचत खाता।
अब जैसे रेलवे के टिकट कटाना है तो मैं कटा सकती हूँ, किसी के सहारा नहीं लेने पड़ता है। एक तो इसमें बहुत बेहतर है।
That's my favorite one. So imagine like that's the last one. Imagine the people, right? The number of same population, equal to the United States, who cannot read, right, in India. So we are going into a direction on how do we serve them. Yep.
In November, I was in Kerala, and they're very proud to say they've got 99% literacy in Kerala.
Yeah. But that's one piece. But there's a lot of so the populous state is actually the UP, where the story is from, right? The UP population is 350 million. The US population is 425 million. Imagine that. That's a state in India which is as populous as like the United States of America. And there is a huge number of people, a large number of people who cannot read, right? Who need help. So this is where we are going.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome.
I'm here. Catch me around if you have anything else. We are running out of time.